playing it on YouTube to see kind of what it looks like, you got to turn your volume up.
Oh, you have that?
Hey, guys. Hey, guys. Franz Borkhardt here with Geaux Rouge. We're just chilling out with Greg and Emma. We're going to be talking about a little documentary, local superstar, local micro influencer, Emma Benoit. We're going to be talking about suicide prevention in the first segment, and then we're going to have our friend Lacy back for her segment, Fix Me, and we're going to be talking about saying no. Like saying no to when people ask you to do stuff. I don't know about you guys. I have trouble saying no to things. Brian, do you have trouble saying no to things? Or yeah. Yeah, we're live. There it is, right there. And then there's a slight delay, and then if you go to share, you can share it on whatever platform you want to share it on. I think my problem was that I tried so long and so hard to get people to ask me to do stuff that now that I have people asking me to do stuff, I think in the back of my brain, it's like if I start saying no, that it will all just fall apart. It's Friday. That means it's time for the Geaux Rouge radio show. This is your host, Franz Borkhardt, attorney, radio show host, wanderer. Look, Friday nights, only thing better in Baton Rouge than the Geaux Rouge show on a Friday night is Live After 5, which is happening tonight. Mm-hmm. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. We got Brian Haldane on Master Controls. Our second half of the show is going to be our friend Lacy Dicharry for her segment, Fix Me. We're going to be talking about saying no to things, saying no to opportunities, saying no to when people ask you to do things, and by extension, saying yes to you. First segment, we're going to have our friends, the creator and star of the My Ascension documentary, streaming on PBS, Greg Dicharry and Emma Benoit, and they're going to talk a little bit about the documentary. What's going on with it, the process. It's also Suicide Prevention Month, if I'm not mistaken. So we're going to be talking about that. But before we jump into all that, we got to thank our show sponsor, the Borkhardt Law Firm, the finest criminal defense firm in the multiverse, Brian. www.borkhardtlawfirm.com. I don't know if you know this about the Borkhardt Law Firm. Criminal defense firm.
Yes, I know that.
The head lawyer on that law firm is on national TV multiple times a week.
I know.
Legal commentary. I had Scotty Hunter in my office today.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
he's not national.
Scotty's pretty impressive. Court TV, Scotty Hunter. Those are head to head.
I mean,
so Borkhardt Law Firm head sponsor. Look, before we get into the show, we got some stuff to talk about. First of all, did you know, guys, that Brian Haldane, producer, guy on controls, Brian Haldane is raising money to fight cancer as we speak. He is a man wearing pink. Men wear pink.
Men wearing pink
to fight cancer. Proceeds go to the American Cancer Society.
Yes.
All right. So you're live. You're now.
I am live right now. In fact, I believe you shared the link. Yeah. I shared the link.
So if you're friends with me on Facebook, and I will post it tonight on the Geaux Rouge page. If you're friends with me on Facebook, you click and you can donate. And Brian, you have to raise how much money to fight cancer?
$2,500 is what I committed to. I would like to just completely blow that out of the water.
We're trying to obliterate cancer, not just fight it.
Yes, exactly. And I got to tell you right now, I'm a little bit salty about it to begin with.
Why is that?
Well, because it's supposed to be through the month of October, and last night, for if you're listening to this recorded over the weekend, was September 21st, and there were 3 guys who had already posted up over $1,000 that they raised. We're not even there. I got to throw the flag. That's a false
It's
start
a race.
right there.
It's a race.
I understand
you gotta
that.
start when the gun goes
And
off.
you get DQ'd if you start too soon.
Well, look,
I was trying to be polite and wait till October.
This is why
so
we're
I'm
talking.
late.
This is why we're talking about it now. This is why we're going to talk about it all month until the fun. Look, you're my horse. I'm backing you, because when I did Men Wear Pink, which is called something different then, but when I did Men Wear Pink, you gave me some love.
I did. We did our best.
Shout out to Fisher, who's in the studio right now. Hey, Fisher. Oh, he doesn't want to be on the show. All right. So the other thing we need to talk about, Brian, did you know we're having a Lebanese festival coming to Baton Rouge?
Yes.
All right. So St. Charbel Maronite Catholic Church will be hosting the inaugural Lebanese festival on Saturday, October 14th from 11 to 8 at 7474 Corporate Boulevard, which, for those who are uninitiated, Syrups on Corporate. The festival will include live music by special guests. The food includes baked-to-order cheese bread and meat pies known as saj, chicken shawarma, hummus, and more. We will have games for kids, they say, beer for adults, live performances, art displays throughout the day. Look, the Maronites, cool folks, right? Cool folks. Tiger fans can come tailgate out there with them. You can get lots of good food. Every year there are more than 50 Lebanese festivals across the United States. This one, as a purveyor of festivals, I've run some food festivals in Baton Rouge before.
Once or twice.
I don't know if you've heard about Wingamania.
Yeah, I've heard about Wingamania.
Capital City Mac and Cheese Fest, Brunch Fest. I threw a brunch festival in Baton Rouge once.
I wasn't a part of that one.
Yeah, you weren't. But Lebanese Fest, we all can be a part of.
So yeah, I want to support this one big time.
So,
it's going to be a great thing.
Yes. So October 14th, 11 to 8 at Syrups on Corporate.
2 quick notes. They say come out and tailgate before LSU because October 14th is the Auburn game.
Right.
But I would not be doing my duty as a news talk morning show host unless I said, if your plans are to go to Syrups for the inaugural Lebanese Fest and then go out to Tiger Stadium after that, make sure you vote before then. October 14th is Election Day.
There you go. We're not a political show, but I appreciate you saying
That's
that.
a public service. That's not taking a side.
We're not telling you who to vote for. So,
no.
Without further
can
ado,
if you want.
Without further ado, Greg, Emma, thank you guys for being on the Geaux Rouge show. Welcome. So, Emma, Greg, somebody I listen to profusely. In fact, she has her own segment, said I needed to put you guys on the show today. It's Suicide Prevention Month, and you guys have a documentary that you need to share information on. My Ascension documentary. It's on PBS right now. Tell me all about it.
All right, sure. Well, I'm just glad you didn't just say no.
Right.
A little plug for that upcoming segment. But it's a documentary around suicide prevention. I met Emma about 5 years ago now. It was about 9 months after her suicide attempt. I just finished a documentary called Suicide: The Ripple Effect. We were doing a big premiere here in Baton Rouge, and my sister had come across Emma online. It was about 9 months after her suicide attempt. She was 17 years old and beautiful cheerleader who had suffered with anxiety and depression for quite a number of years and hadn't told anybody about it.
Right.
And so one day she took her dad's gun out of the closet and attempted to take her life. And so really seeing her passion for suicide prevention and wanting to help other kids kind of set us on this journey to make this documentary. And we've been, sharing it around the world and around the country.
Awesome. Local girl. I mean, Dutchtown, but I mean, local. So on the surface, Emma, when I was researching you for this show, you're like the person I wish I would have been in high school. Like you look like on the surface you have everything going for you. Like, I didn't wish I was a cheerleader, but like you look popular. You look like you had everything going for you. Talk to me a little bit about what was going on, if you're comfortable doing that, and then talk to me a little bit about the documentary process.
Yeah, definitely. Well, firstly, thank you for having me on your show.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it. So obviously from the outsider's perspective, I looked like this picture perfect all-American girl, right? Great family, lots of friends, varsity cheerleader. But what really was going on inside was quite the opposite of that. I really was struggling with self-image issues, identity issues, and really just dealing with a lot of mental health challenges that I had no real information on. I was really kind of lost in the sauce, for lack of better words.
Lost in the sauce.
Yeah,
I like that.
and I kind of just masked everything that I was dealing with. I really thought that being vulnerable was weak, and I never wanted to be seen as weak. I never wanted people to think of me as incapable of handling anything that came my way. I have always been a perfectionist. I'm actually a perfectionist in recovery. And so dealing with that on top of all of the pressures that I was putting on myself when it comes to cheerleading and academics and my future, and teenagers in general have it a lot harder than a lot of people would like to admit, especially in the modern day and age where everything is so fast-paced and you can't really process your emotions unless you have the skills or the coping skills to process those emotions. And I didn't really have any of those coping skills. And so I just kind of dealt with my own struggles by myself for too long. And that silence that I was keeping everything in really didn't keep me safe. And so having a suicide attempt and then surviving it, it was kind of an awakening, very much an eye-opening experience. And I am so grateful that I met Greg through this process because he really gave me the courage to share my story. He really kind of was one of the first people that I actually ever felt seen and heard by. So I've been very grateful for how this has all come to play and how it's all turned out for me. And so, yeah, and like he said, we have this documentary film that we get to share with schools and community groups across the country, and it's just been very therapeutic for me to use my experience.
I was just about to ask, I've never been through what you've been through, but I would imagine that the act of telling your story, the act of not just telling it, but also sharing it with the world so that other people can learn, the taking of something that's tragic and making it into a new path, that has to be therapeutic. You chose the right word. I was going to say healing, therapeutic works. Talk to me a little bit about the process of making a documentary. I mean, I've never made a documentary. I've almost participated in my law job in a documentary, but I've never made a documentary. What's that like?
Well, it's a lot of filming. It's a lot of, for me at least, I was a teenager still, so I was still dealing with a lot of the emotions that I had dealt with before my suicide attempt, and Greg really stepped up to the plate and was just very dedicated to the film and the project. But filming for me was a whirlwind, not gonna lie. There were moments where I didn't want to film, but I'm glad that I did because that allowed for the vulnerability and the authenticity of my story to shine through. But yeah, all in all, filming was a whirlwind for me. But ultimately, I'm just so glad that we did it.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Well, it started pretty organically. So I had her be on this panel after it was at the Mall of America, or not Mall of America, Mall Louisiana Theater. We had a big 600 people screening, and I was looking for someone to be on the panel. We had a panel discussion after the film, and that's when I connected with Emma. I went out to meet with her and her family to kind of prep her to be on the panel and asked if I could bring my camera along. So that time was the very first interview. It was the first time she had told her story. Had no intention of doing a documentary at that point, but as it kind of unfolded, also filmed her at the premiere, and she did an incredible job. And then next thing, her graduation came up. Still had not really decided to do a full documentary, but then the story was just too important to tell, and just seeing how impactful her story could have on other people.
So I would be remiss if I didn't ask, if I wanted to watch the documentary right now, where would the viewers go to watch it?
You could go to pbs.org and search My Ascension. It's currently streaming on PBS.
Awesome. All right, so I guess my next question is, what is life after the documentary like? So you do this documentary, it's kind of a big deal, right? I haven't looked at the number of quote unquote PBS views, but I've also not gotten anything on PBS before. So what has happened since you've done the documentary? A lot has happened. So I have been blessed with the privilege of being able to travel with the documentary. So when schools and communities alike purchase a screening license and they host screening events, I sometimes get the opportunity to go to those screening events and participate in a live Q&A panel discussion after the film. One of the goals of both Greg and myself with creating a documentary film was not only to tell an important story that was equally as inspiring as it is impactful, but to really start a conversation. And that's what we've been really able to do with this film. So
yeah, and we've had hundreds of screenings around the country. We've done a lot in Louisiana, a lot of different parishes. We've, Wynn Parish, Calcasieu Parish, Iberville Parish. We've done all the schools there where we go and show the film and then do panel discussions afterwards. Emma's also done a lot of media with the film, so she's on Dr. Phil, Dr. Drew.
Wait, you were on Dr. Phil?
Yes, I was on Dr. Phil last
Dr.
October.
Drew?
Yeah.
Last October,
Red Table Talk,
Cool.
Jada Pinkett Smith.
All right, so I am someone who myself struggle with anxiety. Not as much depression, but I definitely am an anxiety creature. And what I've learned about my anxiety over time was it may go away for a while, and then it kind of pops back up, and it's something I have to manage, and I have to also accept that it's part of me. So talk to me a little bit about how you manage that piece. Like, I mean, you're traveling a lot, you're speaking a lot. How do you manage what you were going through then, now?
So much different. I now open it up. I don't keep it to myself. I don't let it sit on my chest or in my head. If it's on my heart, if it's in my head, I'm going to open it up and share it with someone that I feel safe and seen by. I think that's so important for everybody, you know, because anxiety is very general. Everyone at some point or another feels feelings of anxiety, right? But it's important that we're expressing those anxieties with people that care about us. That way we're not in it alone. And that's really my biggest coping skill, is just utilizing my core support system to just talk things through. You know, when I feel overwhelmed, when I feel stressed, those feelings can really turn into anxiety, and that anxiety really has no place to go. So I really try to move it, whether that be going for a walk, whether that be putting on music and dancing, whether that be just talking it out with someone. You've got to find what works for you and how you're going to cope with life's challenges that ultimately do sometimes feel like anxiety.
You know, I'm 44 years old, and I'm going to be honest, hearing someone your age talk about all this stuff, I wish I would have figured all this stuff out when I was your age, because, man, it would have made life a little bit easier in those 2 decades. Okay, so the other thing I'm curious about is I would imagine there are a lot of people who are suffering silently. And when you go and talk, I would imagine they probably reach out and say, hey, help. So whether that's a part of the documentary or something that you do, like you're literally given an opportunity to save lives, right? So talk to me about that process. You know, what are the resources on the other end of this, to where you go and talk at a high school, some teenager calls and says, hey, I heard you, I'm going through that, help. What do you kind of do to help navigate them, or help them navigate what's going on?
Well, typically I like to meet people where they are. Everyone has a different scenario. Everyone's going through something different. So if an individual comes up to me and says, I'm struggling with blank, then I meet them where they are, and I kind of navigate my advice in terms of what their circumstances look like. Typically, I will always promote the 988 National Suicide Hotline. It's a crisis number. You don't have to be suicidal. You could just be struggling in general. And you can dial that number. You can text that number, and they will support you. Also, too, Greg, you can jump in on this as well. In the film, we have a call to action. It's the Hope Squad. And Hope Squad is a great world-renowned or nationally renowned peer-to-peer program that is implemented in the schools. And so that was a really big feature that we wanted to have in the film.
Yeah, in the film, Emma works to, it's a program out of Utah, but it's national. They're in about 1,600 schools, and Emma works to bring the first one to Louisiana, which was in Lutcher High School.
So I guess the other thing is, because you're close in age to these students, do you feel like, because you're near where they are, like, I'm going to use the word peer, it's different coming from you than, say, if an old fogey goes up and says something? I mean, do you think that you identify and they identify with you better because of your age?
100%, absolutely. And I think that's kind of one of the greatest things about what I get to do, is that, you know, the youth still feel like they can relate to me, like I am, you know, one of them in a way. Because, I mean, just to be honest, I didn't graduate high school but less than 5 years ago. So it really, in the grand scheme of things, it really was not that long ago. And the things that are happening in the schools were the things that were happening when I was in school. So I can definitely relate to them, and they feel that.
So, okay, Greg, it sounds like you have a history or track record of working in this area. I mean, you at least did this documentary, but it sounds like you've done other work. What is your draw to this?
So I've worked in youth mental health for the last 15 years, and a lot around youth empowerment and, helping young people share their stories. And so that was really the draw to this. I had a cousin who died by suicide probably about, when I first got into recovery myself. So I'm in recovery for mental health issues, substance use issues. So that, draws me to the topic.
You're in good company. Don't worry.
So yeah, that's one of the things that really draws me to the
good. So what's on the horizon for you? I mean, you've done this documentary. Obviously, you're on the tour program to help promote it. What's in the wing, or what's down the pipe for you coming up?
So I have a kid show that I'm hoping to do. So
Okay.
probably also going to go back to working within the mental health field,
Cool.
get a real job, but hopefully do some more film projects.
Real job, that sounds scary to me. So we've got about 3 minutes left, guys. One more time, pbs.org. You can live stream My Ascension. It's a documentary about suicide prevention, starring, I hate to say the word starring, featuring Emma Benoit and her story, produced and directed by Geaux Dicharry. Guys, thank you guys so much for being on the Geaux Rouge show. We're definitely going to do anything we can do to help you guys, and we'll also post a link on the Geaux Rouge show. In addition to posting a link to Men Wear Pink, Brian Haldane, shout out to Brian Haldane. So anything else for the listeners you want them to hear? Screenings.
Yeah, so a large way we're sharing this film around the country is through screenings. So agencies, organizations, schools are hosting private screenings. So we have quite a number more coming up. We've done a lot around the state. We're doing one private one for St. Michael's. We're going to be out in Caddo Parish doing a few schools out there in Shreveport. So if anyone's interested in that, they can just contact us through our website, which is www.myascension.us.
www.myascension.us. And then, Emma, I'm going to give you the last word. Anything you want the viewers to hear?
Yes, mental health is health. We've got to make suicide a priority. We can't be scared of the S word. We've got to start utilizing it in group settings and conversations. That way people who are struggling with these types of thoughts and feelings don't feel so alone. They don't feel so ashamed of the way they feel. I definitely highly recommend checking out our website and viewing different options of ways that you can help your community or your school have better suicide prevention efforts in place. Definitely look into hosting a screening as well. Those screening events are truly impactful. They are helpful, and they're therapeutic for not only me, but for everyone involved. And ultimately, silence will never keep you safe. So if you are looking to do something great, good for your community, check out our options on our website, and thank you.
Well, we appreciate you guys being here, the folks behind My Ascension documentary on PBS. You can watch it live, stream on pbs.org. And once again, if you are an educator and you want to get them possibly to do a screening at your school, check them out on their website. Look, we're going to be taking our first break, guys. Geaux Rouge show is going to come back. We're talking about mental health. We're talking about making lives better. We're going to have Lacy's segment.
Just say no.
No. Fix me. So we'll be back at the Geaux Rouge show on Talk 107.3. Bad Greg. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
So we're still on YouTube, guys. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Make sure you exchange information with Brian Haldane. Is Fisher still alive? All right. So we're going to let you move and get cleared out, and then we're going to talk about fixing Franzi.
I'm going to need that, Miss Fine.
Move this chair. Lacy, you're just going to stand up, right? I mean, you're not, Which microphone do you suggest she uses? Second? If it's just two, y'all use 3 and 4. Awesome segment, guys. Really good. Brian, thank you for your assistance in that one. Always welcome.
No, wait to the camera. Say hi.
Hey.
You're on camera right now.
So, small world. Lacy Dicharry's in the house. Fisher, you want to come say hello to the camera? You just come wave, and then you can leave. No, you got to come over here. My son, Fisher Borkhardt, who has not been on TV or anything yet, but once you can wait. It's over here. You have to sit. He is not ready for YouTube yet. It's okay. Are you going to play Switch, bud? All right. We got one more segment, then we're going to go get some dinner, okay? All right. So this is a hard topic for me.
Okay.
I do way too much stuff in my life, as you know. And some of it's insecure. See, like our friend Emma, I feel like talking about my vulnerability and talking about things makes life a little bit more easy.
Yes.
God, can you imagine?
It's hard to start, but it's easier after.
Can you imagine? And Emma, I'm saying this so you can hear me. I cannot imagine. You're how old? 23. Can you imagine getting your stuff together at 23?
No.
Like I'm barely
It'd be
like
like
at
it is.
44. I'm like doing this.
It'd be like a whole nother lifetime you get to live.
Yeah.
Like
Thank goodness.
20 years. Wow.
So okay. So I, as a baby lawyer, we're gonna talk about this. As a baby lawyer, I was like desperate. Yeah, I was like desperate to get anything, to get anybody to do anything with me. And now it's like I have a little bit more options.
Yes.
I got the radio show and all this, and like I'm still gonna do Brian Haldane's mornings with Brian Haldane's Legally Served, but it's like people ask me to do stuff now, and I'm like, I really should have said no to that.
I totally get that. I'm in the same spot. It's scary to say no when you don't know if the next thing's lined up.
Brian, do you say no, or I mean, are you still okay? Brian, you can feel free to jump in.
So it depends on who's asking.
Right. Like if it's a strategic, like I need to say yes, even though I don't want to say yes because it's good for business. That's different than I need attention.
Well, we'll talk about that too.
Yeah.
How it's different and why it's different, and is it really different? I think.
Do you have anything else coming up?
From October 11th. And I'm doing my birthday breakfast. You can business report on October 3rd.
All right, hey, move the one you're on, move it completely off camera. Shift over to hers, and she'll shoot it. There you go.
Thank you. Welcome back to the Geaux Rouge Radio Show. This is host Franz Borkhardt. We had a great first segment. We were talking about suicide prevention. We had the creative minds behind My Ascension, the documentary on PBS. It's streaming right now on pbs.org. Emma, Benoit, and Greg Dicharry. Look, I would be remiss if I didn't take a second. Fisher, my little boy, my son, my favorite son, is in the studio right now. He can't hear me. But I would be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to Fisher and tell Fisher happy birthday. He just turned 8.
Woo,
he had a
happy birthday,
Gremlins
Fisher.
themed birthday party, Brian Haldane.
I'm aware. I'm aware of the birthday party. I wasn't there,
That's okay.
but we got reports back from James.
Gremlins.
Okay.
Wow.
Like 80s.
Did they turn into gremlins?
No, they
They
didn't.
just
that's
that's
good.
their default position.
Then
Just
apparently
the
there
kids
was
before they got the
there
cake.
apparently was a
Yeah.
Nerf war at some point, but that's another conversation for another day. But look, before we jump into the second segment, which is one of my favorite segments that we do now, which is the Fix Me segment with our special guest consultant, Lacy Dicharry, we got to talk about a couple things, Brian. One of the things we need to talk about first and foremost is the Borkhardt Law Firm. They're the show sponsors. Criminal defense law firm located in Baton Rouge, but I do work all throughout the state of Louisiana. If you have anything you need me to help you with, you can email me either at info@Geaux Rouge, which is much easier than BorkhardtLawFirm.com.
Yeah.
Info, INFO at Geaux Rouge. Let me know that you heard about me on the Geaux Rouge show, which will make me feel better about sponsoring the show. The other things we need to talk about is we talked about it in the first segment, but we're going to give Brian Haldane a second shout out. Brian Haldane, like myself, is participating. I once participated in the Men Wear Pink program. It's a fundraising effort. I mean, I just want you to know I was one of the largest fundraisers
in history.
In that event.
No, I know.
And actually, it was Bigwigs I was a big fundraiser in, but not this one.
Oh, okay.
There was that. I raise a lot of money for charity. I'm not humble.
So,
But-
Big Wigs is Coleman. This is American
so
Cancer Society.
American Cancer Society is starting its October initiative early.
Yep,
That's
yep,
another
yep.
conversation for another day. Brian, talk to me about Men Wear Pink.
Okay, so I'm apparently got to wear something pink every day next
Yeah.
month. I own 4 pink things.
I got you, buddy. We need to talk to our friends at Haspel.
That's where I was going with this. I got to reach out to our buddies over at Haspel, see if I can't get 2 or 3 garments over there. To round out at least a week's worth of wardrobe, right?
Well, the other thing we need to do is there is a jewelry store. You remember Kendra Scott, who is always willing to do partnered events for this particular fundraiser. We need to connect you to those ladies.
Okay.
By the way, Kendra Scott's guys, I don't give advice on dating. I don't give advice on marriage. I don't give advice on how to do anything romantic. However, I'm told that Kendra Scott makes a good little small gift. Gift for
Every Mother's Day, every birthday. That's
there you go.
They know what to do.
There you go. So that's, by the way, that's Lacy's voice. So Brian Haldane, how do I give money? Tell me, help me give to you, Brian.
If you want to Google Men Wear Pink Baton Rouge, the link Google will send you where you need to be. If you want to go to your Facebook, Franz's Facebook, or my Facebook, the link's up on both those spots right there. And
it'll be up on Geaux Rouge.
As far as Talk 107.3 is concerned, you're going to hear about it frequently.
Love it. Anybody else doing it from Talk 107.3?
No, nobody else in the building. There's a number of people from around town that you and I both know that I know I'm not going to win, but I ain't going to finish last.
Truly a good fundraising event. Now, the other thing we need to talk about, we talked about it again. I'm giving a double shout out today. One of my good friends, Sammy, over at Syrops on Corporate, and then Father Alex, who is the head priest for St. Charbel Maronite Catholic Church, they are collaborating and hosting the inaugural, the first ever Baton Rouge Lebanese Festival. And for those who are uninitiated, there's some people out there that think Greek, Lebanese is the same food. No. I went to a Lebanese dinner that was actually hosted by Father Alex the other day, and dude,
it's a different game.
It really, amazing food, great culture, the music, the drinks, the dancing, it's great. So look, October 14th from 8 to 11, go out and vote early. Then go to the Syrops on Corporate. It's voting day, right? It's election day.
It is election day, yes.
So October 14th, go vote. Then go 11 to 8 to the Corporate Syrops. The festival will include live music, special guests, art, food, culinary, cultural experiences. You can go there. Tiger fans can tailgate with us there and watch the game in their air-conditioned inside Syrops. I guess they're airing the game there. By the way, every year, there are more than 50 Lebanese festivals across the country. We're now a part of that. Our culture is going to have a part of that.
And as a side note to this, Catholics that are listening, if you've not done a Maronite Mass,
it's
highly recommended.
They sing the entire Mass, baby.
They speak 5 different languages throughout.
So, little known fact, it is a Catholic faith.
More Eastern, yeah.
Yeah, more Eastern, but it's full-blown Catholic. And so if you want more information, go to charbel.org. Charbel with an S, charbel.org /festival. Just go to charbel.org. I'm going to be out there. I think I'm going to be sponsoring a tent out there, because I'm not really Lebanese, but I like Lebanese. So, I'm German. That's close to Lebanon, right? Not at all. Not even close. So, anyways, without further ado, Lacy, back for the second. We're thinking about doing this like once a month.
Yep.
So back, I'm regretting that Dylan's not here today. Dylan Ferguson, our co-host,
is fantastic.
Yeah. All right. So once a month, we have Lacy on as a consultant, as someone that works to make you the best version of you. First of all, Lacy, tell them what you do.
Yeah, so technically what I do is called transformational leadership coaching. So I do that for
that
individuals.
Sounds so much sexier than what I said.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing, though. It's really just helping you to realize your full potential and helping you to identify any blocks to reach that. And so that could be in the workplace, that can be as a leader, that can be as an executive of a large company, international company, or that can be, just you as an individual contributor on a team or in your life,
Mm-hmm. And then
ways to lead.
And by the way, if the folks want to get in touch with you, how would they do that?
LacyDicharry.com.
And then you have a couple of things coming up.
I do. Yeah, I'm excited to partner with Sherm. So I'm doing a session at the Best Places to Work Baton Rouge breakfast. I think that's in partnership with a business report. And then keynoting at the October 11th Sherm conference. The Greater Baton Rouge chapter is hosting their annual conference.
Right.
So keynoting that.
All right. No more foreplay. We're going to jump right in. All right.
Go.
So I have an issue. And since the segment,
just one today.
Since the segment's called Fix Me, you guys can be the judge on this.
Great.
I am really bad at saying no to people and things. Saying no is something I have a great deal of difficulty with, even when I know I need to say no to this opportunity, this event, this whatever. And I'm not talking about, so in my day job, I'm a criminal defense attorney. I'm not talking about clients. I'm not talking about getting hired to do a case. I'm talking about everything else. So the topic today is saying no, learning how to say no, and then also the effect of that, which is getting to say yes to you, right?
Yes. Yeah, and I think we have to first talk about, like, why do we not say no?
Right.
Why are we afraid? And there's a lot of reasons, I think, and probably everybody listening has a similar issue in some sense if they haven't done some work on it, right? But why don't we say no? There's a lot of reasons for that. So we could be people-pleasing, right? That feeds something in us to think that we're pleasing somebody else. At the expense of ourselves.
Right.
Could be ego-driven. Like, I'm going to feel good about myself if I say yes, and whether that's aligned with values or not is a different conversation. It can be fear of reputation. Like, what are they going to think about me if I don't say yes to this? If I don't show up? Or I might just like to be in control of things. And so that feeds something in me. And so there's a lot of ways that people can get to this same issue of not saying no.
So the answer to that list is yes.
Yes, all of the above.
Yeah. So for me, I think back to 2007. I was a baby lawyer starting a new practice, like by myself, waiting for the phone to ring, waiting to get involved in the community, waiting to figure out, because I was a criminal defense attorney, right? So like Baton Rouge Area Chamber doesn't just call criminal defense attorneys up and say, hey, what's going on? We'd love to hang out with you. I mean, you represent people accused of horrible crimes. Come on in, yeah. And so it was this, I guess, anxiety and insecurity of, I've fought so hard to get to a place where people ask me to do things. And now that I'm there, like now that I am in a position on all accounts from the outside looking in, I can say, no, I'm good. I can't do that. My plate is full. There is this subconscious feeling that if I say no to one thing, it is as if the entire empire, not that my life is an empire, but it's like everything will crumble.
Everything will go away. There won't be any more opportunities. You're not going to get any more clients.
Right,
Nobody's going to ask you to come anywhere again.
Which I know is not true.
Right.
But
the underlying stuff there is the scarcity mindset. That's really what's driving that. So there's scarcity mindset and there's abundance mindset.
Okay, tell me more.
And so scarcity mindset is when I'm like exactly what you said. I'm afraid there's not going to be any opportunity, so I'm going to do whatever I can at the expense of myself, my wellness, my family, to make sure that I'm saying yes to everything because I have a fear that's driving that there's not going to be enough. Abundance is I am good enough. There's going to be plenty of opportunities. I know that there's going to be opportunities to say yes, and so I'm going to say yes to what aligns with my values and how I can best be of service, and I'm going to say no to the things that don't align so that I can show up as a fuller version of myself and I'm not actually like expending energy that I don't want to and ending up in resentments.
I love it. All right, so here's the question. Here's the money question. How do I get to a place? How do the listeners and viewers get to a place to where they can sit back and say, you know, I need to say no? And then there's also anxiety. There's also a little bit of anxiety of saying no is difficult for me for another reason. It's the people-pleasing piece, right?
Yes.
I don't want to hurt somebody. I don't want to disappoint somebody. Even people that probably haven't earned that level of like people-pleasing. Like, so talk to me about how is it that I say no?
Well, okay, so you're asking like three different things.
I know, right? I'm giving you you go for it. Go.
Yeah. So the first thing that you talked about is like not wanting to upset people, not wanting to. But when we say yes and we're not fully committed, we're actually like draining ourselves of what we have to give. And so then we go into the event or to the dinner or to the movie with friends or to the client even, show up and we're not our full selves. We're not giving of ourselves. And then it becomes not a good experience anyway. And then we get resentful potentially of them or of us. And so it's actually not a great experience for them either.
Right.
So we're not able to give ourselves fully.
Okay.
And so what's under that, right? So what's under that, and then we'll get to how, is really that fear or that I'm not good enough. They're not going to think I'm good enough. So really that's shame-driven, which is another S word that people don't like to talk about.
It's like Brene Brown's in the studio right now. Okay, shame-driven. Tell me more.
So shame is this. I'm sorry, Gracie's under the table. So we have another child in here.
So you and I have read some of the same books.
Yes.
Shame is I am a bad person. Guilt is I've done something bad.
Exactly. So shame is this belief that I am unworthy of belonging in love. So it keeps us isolated from others. If you speak shame, it actually lessens its power. When you don't speak it, it grows. And so this belief that I'm worthless, I'm unworthy, I'm not enough for people, that grows when we don't talk about it. So similar to what Emma was talking about in the first session.
Right.
We, in recovery, we say we're only as sick as our secrets.
Right.
That's all shame.
So we got to regurgitate that stuff up.
We have to get it out.
Yeah.
Got
to get it out. Okay. So talking to somebody about it.
Mm-hmm.
And look, I've even been told by some people it's good to have a group of people.
Yes.
Like
community.
Yeah, a community of people where you can go to them and say, hey, I've been asked to do this. What do you think?
Yeah.
And let them have a voice, like legitimately let them have a voice where you don't judge them or respond negatively to what they have.
Yeah.
And listen to each of those individuals. What do you think about that?
So feedback, we have to have feedback to grow, period. Whether that's at work or in our lives. And so, again, like Emma talked about earlier, we have to have those people that we trust, that know our values, that want to support us in our values and growth. And so those are the people that we go to for feedback, to be that mirror back to us on what am I missing, what do I think I'm saying yes for, but what am I actually saying yes? So, because a lot of times our intentions are subconscious and we aren't aware of them. And it requires that mirror of people that we trust to reflect that back to us, to be like, you know what, you're right.
So that leads me, I know we're about to get to the how, but there is a middle question now I have. If I just want more time, like not a yes, not a no, talk to me about how I would look at someone like Brian. Brian asked me to do something. It's hard to say no to Brian. Brian asked me to do something, but I don't want to say no, but I don't want to say yes. I want to discern on it. I want to talk to my crew. Like, what's the phraseology on that? What would you recommend?
Can I get back to you on that?
Can I get back to you?
Easy. Can I get back to you on that? I
And
really
that
want
works?
to. I need to, you can say whatever, I need to check on some things. I need to check with people. I need to check my calendar, but can I get back to you on that? That is a great pause for people to be able to reflect and decide, like, is this something that's values aligned? Is this something that I want to say yes to? Is it something I feel like I need to say yes to? And I can kind of get that feedback and understand why I feel like I need to say yes. And can I fully say yes and show up in this space?
Oh, I love that.
Can I get back to you?
But okay, Brian, I'm looking at you because Brian, I sense that Brian has the same issues I have about this. Like the idea of telling somebody, hey, can I get back to you? I'm uncomfortable. Like
that's my only out is let me make sure I'm not already committed.
Yeah, that's a great way to say it too. Whatever feels comfortable for you, but like being able to just pause before you say yes, and you're not saying no, right? You're not saying no in that moment, but it gives you a pause to really reflect on, do I have what I need to give fully and show up to this?
And when in doubt, blame the kids. Kids always
I
have
will
something
say
going.
this.
The kids always have something going on.
I hate to admit it. I hate
if
to
you
admit
have
it.
kids,
But
Yeah.
as,
people don't.
in my journey to be a better dad, I have started using the phrase, I need to see what's on our calendar.
Yes.
100%.
Because I don't know if there's a school event or whatever.
It's
and
also a great phase.
All right, so here it is. The how.
The how. So I want to talk about, it's boundaries.
Right.
Right.
Boundaries.
That's the key, the lovely B word, boundaries. And so there are a ton of books, a ton of blogs, a ton of things out there, but really kind of the way we think about it in leadership coaching is like, what's okay, what's not okay, right? That's Brené's simplest definition from Dare to Lead is boundaries are what's okay, what's not okay. So totally okay that you want to go to this event, not okay that you've scheduled 3 things at the same time. Let's figure out what the best way to contribute is,
Okay.
But there are 4 kinds of boundaries.
Okay.
4. So the first kind is no boundaries.
I've lived that life before. That's
I
not
think
pleasant.
we know. I think we all have lived at some point with no boundaries.
Gross.
We do all the things all the time. Let everybody else. It's a lot. The second kind is a soft boundary. So this might happen when you're like learning, and so you put up a boundary and you say, "Let me get back to you on that," but you still say yes, knowing that you don't want to, or you put down a boundary and say, "I'm not going to come," and then somebody immediately is like, no, I think you should be there. And so you immediately are like, okay, yeah, I'm going to do it anyway. So you kind of lose the boundary. So like you put it up, but then when you get pushed back, you let it go, right? So that's a soft boundary. Third kind is really where we want to be most of the time, is a flexible boundary.
Flexible boundary. Okay.
So Franz, if you're going on a trip on Monday and I'm like, hey, do you want to go to dinner Sunday night? And you're like, no, I have a trip on Monday that I need to leave for, can't do it. And I'm like, well, I'm going to be gone for 4 weeks. We need to talk, like we need to have dinner because I'm not going to see you for a month before this event that we're doing, whatever. So then you might get new information. So once you get new information, you can switch the boundary and say, I hear that. I can meet you for 4:00 early dinner, but I have to leave by 6 so that I can pack and get ready for the airport.
New information may move the line, may not move the line.
Yes.
But that phrase that she just used, I hear that,
Mm-hmm.
and or but, not but.
Not but, and.
That's what we're working on. I've been working on that since the last time she was on the show, guys. Don't say but, say and.
And I hear you, and maybe there's another way that we can work out whatever it is that we need to work out.
And then number 4.
Hard boundary.
Hard boundary.
No is a complete sentence.
Right.
These we often use, could be with kids sometimes at some point, when they keep pushing that flexible boundary. And this is also what we want to use in like some of the more challenging or toxic relationships. Maybe if it's not a safe, emotionally safe relationship, family, this comes up a lot. Like, no. And with kids, we want to explain why it's a no. Adults, we can simply inform.
So that is, like with charities, and we've been talking about Brian doing the fundraising stuff.
Yeah.
A charity's job, I use this as an example with people sometimes. A charity's job is to raise money.
Yeah.
And awareness.
Absolutely.
And they're going to get volunteers one way or another, and they get said no to all the time.
Yeah.
And it's okay. It's okay to look at them and say no, but what you said it to an adult, no is enough. Right.
No can be enough. And if you choose to inform them, you don't have to explain yourself about why you're saying no.
Right.
But if you choose to, you can. But just inform, don't explain. So it's not over-explaining and justifying why I'm saying no to you. But it is, here's why, or simply I'm not coming. Like, holidays are coming up, family.
Right.
No can be a complete sentence.
I like it. I like all of this. I've been taking notes. I don't know if you can tell this, guys. I've been taking notes, even though you could theoretically watch this on the Geaux Rouge YouTube channel, and I watch it a few times. All right, so Brian.
The next question's the hard one, though.
What's that?
When those who don't respect the boundaries don't respect the boundaries.
There it is.
Now we're going to look at cutting ties.
The boundaries get bigger. And eventually, if it's extremely contact or not safe, no contact could be a boundary.
Okay.
Eventually, it might get to that point, yeah. But hopefully, we have self-awareness on both sides, and we can show up and have real conversations, which is why it's so important that we do the work on ourselves so that we can show up to that conversation.
Lacy Dicharry, talking about how to fix. We got 3 minutes left. Lacy, if I want to drink more of this Kool-Aid, like if I want to drink more of this Kool-Aid, you mentioned blogs and books, and we'll talk about how to get in touch with you again. All right, so I'm in Barnes and Noble or Amazon world of books. What are the books? Like, where do I need to go? What's the must read?
I think starting with yourself, Braving the Wilderness is a great
Braving the Wilderness
book.
Okay.
It's about belonging and fitting in. And when you try to fit in, which is basically saying yes to everyone, that's saying no to yourself. And so that one's a great one. Brene Brown. Boundaries. There's literally books called Boundaries that are written. Those are fantastic for like very specific. How do I do boundaries at work, with family, with kids, with teens, with partners? A whole series on that one. I think there's probably a few more that I can share online. But
and if I want to utilize your services as a what's that phrase again?
Transformational leadership coach.
Transformational leadership coach. We need to figure out a better way of calling me a criminal defense attorney. Like, can I be a transformational criminal justice coach?
No.
That's not. It's not.
No, that's not.
All my clients are innocent, Brian.
I'm aware.
One more time, where would people go to get in touch with you?
LacyDicharry.com. I do organizational development, team retreats, team facilitation, team culture, and then coach leaders and members through whatever their goals are.
So the viewers and listeners know, I've come up with the last two topics. This is Lacy's segment. So if Lacy has a hot topic that she wants to utilize, we're going to talk about it. But if you guys have something you want us to talk about, email me at info at GeauxRouge.com. I'll forward it to Lacy and let her kind of chew on it.
Or drop it in the comments
on
Facebook.
It in the that would be awesome.
That'd be great. What are your questions? What do you want to know? What do you struggle with? I'd love to hear that.
Right. This has been a good episode.
Yeah.
We've talked first half of the show, mental health, suicide prevention, boundaries.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, and September's also Recovery Month.
September is Recovery Month, right? So yeah. This is good stuff. Well, look, guys, we're about out of time for this episode of the Geaux Rouge Show. Thank you, guys. We've had some kids in the building. We've had some adults. We had some documentary folks. We've had you, Brian Haldane. Give until it hurts. Brian Haldane raising money for American Cancer Society. We are going to see you guys hopefully next week, if not next week, in the near future. This is your host, Franz Borkart from the Borkart Law Firm, telling you to have a wonderful, safe weekend. We love that you're listening. We love that you're watching. We'll see you next week. Generally, so YouTube, generally my exits are horrible. I felt like that was a decent exit.
That was good.
10 seconds of bumper to get you out. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's better that way.
Yeah. Sometimes I'm just like, what do I say to get out of here? Like, Brian, thank you so much for producing YouTube. Thank you. We'll, in the comments, either in the YouTube. Okay. Bye.